Good afternoon. Welcome back to the B&H event space. Today we are unveiling the future of videography. Of course, we have the ultimate first look at the Hero 13 Black. GoPro joining us once again. Now, I know launches are always exciting, but when it's a GoPro launch, I know I get to talk to these guys, and I know that they always bring the energy. And I sit here and I get to watch videos, and everything's so cool. And I know that GoPro never limps into a launch. You guys always outdo yourselves. So, without further ado, Cohen, I'd like to welcome you on and let you take it from here.
Yo, Derek, thanks so much for having us again. I think it's always an honor and a pleasure to get you to join you here in the event space with B&H. Yeah, and I think as you said, we've got a really exciting first look for you all today. I think if you guys have been paying attention to the world of the internets and been on the YouTubes and the Instagrams and TikToks, hopefully you guys have all seen some of the incredible content that our latest flagship cameras really just, letting these creators just let loose. And today, joining me as one of those legendary creators, one of my teammates, and also, God, he stayed up super late for all you guys because he's based in Singapore. He's based all the way around the world. Let me introduce you to my, partner in crime here, Mr. Ron Ung. What's up, Ron? How you doing, man?
What's up? What's up? What's up, Cohen? What's up, Derek? Thank you so
What's going
much for
on?
having me on the show, even though I'm all the way on the other side of the earth. I
Yeah,
love it.
so yeah, Ron and I've got a pretty cool show put together for you all. I hope you guys are taking time out of your morning or a little lunch break and joining us and get your eyes and ears dialed and tuned into what is going to be an exciting show. So for the next like 30 minutes or so, we're going to walk you guys through the nitty-gritty details, give you guys that first look, walk through all the greatest features and benefits of our latest flagship camera, the Hero 13 Black, and from there we're going to basically turn it over to you all. We really want to make this interactive. Like as you guys have seen the unboxing, some of the content from a lot of the creators and athletes and influencers out there, really, what are you guys interested in learning more about? What kind of questions do you have? Ron and I have been lucky and fortunate enough to been playing with this camera and testing it and helping bring it to life through these different launch events. And so we're really excited to show you some of the cool, content and the sneak preview of some of the behind the scenes stuff we've been capturing. So I think Derek, Ron, I know one thing I'm so proud is that I think a lot of times GoPro is really seen as that like, oh, I'm an action sports enthusiast. But I think Derek and Ron, we've talked about this in previous shows. It's really the GoPro's an ecosystem that really just helps all of us get up off our couch and get out there and whatever we, deem is like our most fun adventure, the once in a lifetime memory. It could just be a backyard barbecue. It could be going on that cool vacation or trip. The GoPro is that ecosystem that really, brings it to life. And I think here we see why we're the official camera of fun. But let's roll that video, Ron.
Let's go. Let's go, Cohen. I
Well,
don't, I
let's
don't know about
go.
you, Cohen. I get so pumped up each time I watch that video. I was like, all right, I need to do something right now.
I know, and then unfortunately we're stuck in Zoom land here behind the screen. But I think that's the part we love about GoPro so much is that from day one it's really been about enabling you to get off your couch, get out there, and help capture moments and create memories that will be our once in a lifetime from these perspectives that have really never been before possible. And I think Ron, as we talk about 2024 and Hero 13 Black, what's it all about?
Absolutely. I think I mean, what you can expect is that this will be the first ever GoPro that shoots above 240 frame rates, and it's offering never before seen optics and perspective on an action camera. So we're talking about that close-up depth of view, bokeh effect to anamorphic lens flare. Ultimately, this is Hero 13 Black and is the most expandable and customizable GoPro ever. Shall we roll the tapes, Cohen?
I mean, there's no better way to see what it's all about than check out this video, huh?
Yeah. you?
Ah,
Oh
well,
man.
Ron, I mean, I don't know about you. I think we've probably watched that video 8 million times, but I feel like no matter how many times I watch it, the studio team did such a great job of picking that song. Just how do you not want to dance and get up
Great
off
soundtrack. Great
and just
soundtrack.
dance
Each time I'm
around?
presenting it on stage, I'm like, I'm just vibing on the side and like it gets the energy going, man. It's like one of the things that I love about all these launch videos is just great sound choice that makes you get the energy pumping.
Yeah, and that's one call out is as much as it's important what we see with our eyes, I think the audio choice, the music that the studio team always picks is one reason that makes our content so special. It really is that beautiful relationship between what we're hearing, what we're seeing that just brings, that content to the next level. And I think that's one thing I'm so excited about this year is those perspectives. And this year, the Hero 13 Black really it all starts with the HB series of lenses and auto detect. We'll talk a little bit more about auto detect in a bit, but this is really the beauty of these lenses. It's not just about the stunning optics and the perspectives they're going to deliver, but with auto detect, it's automatically recognized it by the camera right when you put that lens on there. So, think about this as a symbiotic relationship between hardware and software, where it's really the perfect harmony with Hero 13 Black. As you guys can see on the screen here, right when you put that lens on, right on the front and on the back, you're going to get the indication that you're in the right mode. Plus, like we even give you a little place to store your extra lens to keep it nice and safe. And then when you pull that off, you're just ready to go. So the thing that I love about this is we introduce 4 different swappable lenses, tailored to create different perspectives that no GoPro has really ever offered before. Like whether it be this ultra wide to create a beautiful 1x1, the macro to create the cool depth of field. We're going to spend a little bit of time talking about all 4 of these, but I kind of wanted to toss it over because Ron's probably had the most, time getting his hands, dirty and his feet wet playing with these things. So Ron, like what's been your favorite lens so far? I know we've just seen a sneak preview of the 4, but out of the 4, like which one have you been having the most fun playing with?
Oh, Cohen, if you ask me, one that I have been so excited to play around with once when I heard the feature was the macro lens mod. Macro lens mod by far has been one of my favorite lenses and is my favorite lenses or my go-to lens on my GoPro camera right now. So much so that, I actually leave it on my camera all throughout. I don't actually remove it. And the main reason for that is that for the first time ever, GoPro is actually introducing a close focus wide angle lens that lets you capture 4 times closer to your subject compared to the standard GoPro. And what more importantly, it's creating that soft bokeh effect around your subject for your shot. And then with that, this is just some random bureau that I have here in Singapore. With that, it really allows you to create some lifestyle content beyond that traditional action shot. For me, Cohen, you know this the most. I am not that hardcore action sports enthusiast. I have always loved eating food, and so as you can see in this B-roll here, I can finally shoot my food vlogs.
Yeah, what an
Right?
excuse to
Yeah.
go eat some incredible street food there in Singapore, huh? Bad
A
day
hundred,
in your life.
100%, 100%. So that is my use case. I use the macro lens for a very lifestyle vlogging use case. And what I'm really stoked about, as you can see in this really cool animation on screen, is that with the rotating lens ring, you can manually change that focus distance of the lens, from a range of 4 inches, as what we like to call here in GoPro land, just about a shaka length away. So about shaka length away from the camera, all the way to 2 feet. That means you will be able to focus on the subject both near and far, all with the same lens. And for me, this is truly epic because what that really means is that, hey, I don't actually have to remove the lens from my GoPro camera. It can just be the same lens that I use to get infinite focus action camera type shot, or I rotate the rotating lens ring to get me that close focus. Yeah. But Cohen, what is really cool and one thing that I really love about the macro lens mod is with auto detection, you now have a new Pro Tune setting on camera, right? Focus peaking. And basically, what it really does is that it helps guide our users to tell us is the intended subject in focus or not. As you can see on screen, This is just an illustration. Cohen, I actually had a macro, a secondary GoPro camera shooting this GoPro camera just to highlight focus peaking. And on screen, you of course can toggle the sensitivity to high or low. In this case, I wanted to make it more exaggerated and pronounced, so I had the sensitivity setting set to high. But as you can see, focus peaking works both on the front and the back screen. And to make it easy to spot, you have it color coded in red, blue, yellow, just depending on lighting condition or where you are in the environment. Yeah.
Yeah, and Ron, I also like if you're shooting different subjects and maybe like your subject's going to go from green to blue and then maybe red, you can just pick auto and the camera will automatically, like you see here,
Exactly.
pick the color to make sure that you're not like having green pop up if you're shooting green trees in a forest and then you have no idea what's in focus. And again, I think what the thing I love about the macro lens and just all of these lenses is they come with that core GoPro DNA and that they're rugged, they're waterproof, they've got that hydrophobic coating. So some of the shots that you're going to be able to get with this, you would never be able to get with a standard macro lens or a macro setup because of just that core DNA of a GoPro. So I've seen some really cool shots of like raindrops coming down or just even that like kind of half under, half over shot you see in the water. It's I'm really excited about you creatives out there and what you guys will do with this because like we're just been playing with just for the last couple months, and it's pretty exciting, Ron. I
I
know
mean,
I'm really
it's
excited to have this in my kit.
we just at the tip of the iceberg, cool. And this is really, and I think as what they call it, it's like it's starting to breach the gap between an action camera and a traditional camera. And I think macro lens mod brings that professional use case or everyday use case to your action camera. So it's no longer just for action. Just like me, you can go out there to capture your food vlogs. But what about you, Cohen? What has been your favorite lens? What have you been messing around with?
Yeah, well, I mean, as you know, Ron, like I fell in love with GoPro way back when I, was young and my body wasn't, falling apart. Because I fell in love with GoPro because I love to ski and mountain bike. And so for me, the Hero 2 became such a legendary capture device. Like I wasn't having to tape cameras to my head, big giant handy cams to my head and feel like my neck muscles might be strained for months. And I think when we introduced the Max Lens mod a couple of years ago, it blew my mind that we could somehow make it even wider. We could enable unbreakable 360 horizon lock. And what we introduced and building upon its predecessor of the Max Lens Mod 2.0, we're introducing the ultra wide lens mod. And I think for me, as a fan of POV and that perspective of my point of view, I think it's just going to push that envelope for immersive content. Like, so again, auto detect, just like you get with the other lenses, and you can transform your Hero 13 into truly the most ultimate POV camera by capturing more in every single shot. Plus, not only do you get hyper smooth, you get that 177-degree field of view, unbreakable stabilization. And as you can see from this graphic here, we get to shoot it in 1:1 aspect ratio. So the thing I ultimately love about this is no longer do I need to go shoot that shot mounted vertical and then shoot it again horizontal. Or, I'm just the classic guy. If I go out and do my stuff and then I think about what I want to do, which we know is not really the right approach. But what I love here is this is going to give you the tallest, most immersive field of view with 360 horizon lock at 4K 60, and there's no camera out there on the market that can do this. And I just love that in the 1:1, I really don't have to pick and choose. I mean, Ron, like as you know, like having to shoot things multiple times, having to come up with funky ways to mount things, it's just wonderful to know that I can get this incredible immersive shot and not have to sacrifice, anything when it comes to the image quality.
Yeah, I mean, Cohen, I think you nailed it right in the head. The biggest contemplation point that every creator faces, or maybe for myself, right? Because I shoot for Instagram and YouTube, and in the past, I'm always contemplating, should I shoot landscape or vertical? And we all know the 8:7 aspect ratio is great, but today with the ultra wide lens mod, whenever I'm doing any activity at all these days, like just last over the weekend, I was running a 15K. I was like deciding how should I shoot it? Guess what? I just popped on the ultra wide lens mod. I got it in the 1:1 aspect ratio. So it didn't really matter if I was holding the camera vertically or horizontally. I am going to get a super wide shot of my vlog, running that 15 km run. So I really love this mount as well. Just for that ease of use and then the extra versatility that I can do with the content.
I like how you just casually slipped in. You just, out there casually running a 15K race, just like no big deal.
The goal is a 42. Maybe one day, Cohen.
Wow. Well, I'll follow you on your journey and on the gram, and hopefully we see you get there. I challenge you, Ron. Let's see. I want to see that when you set the date, and let's see this challenge come true.
We're gonna do it, Derek. I know Derek's a big runner as well. We're gonna ask him when he comes on.
All right.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, so, in addition to ultra wide, Ron, one thing I've, always been a fan of, but, I've always, been a little bit hesitant to use them because I feel like anytime I do, I screw up my shot, and that is like ND filters. Like I love the concept of getting beautiful motion blur to really show, like, yeah, well, how fast I'm going to make it maybe look even faster than I'm really going. Because a lot of times you see me and I'm look like I'm moving or frozen in time and it doesn't even look like I'm moving. And I think what's really cool about ND filters is they create beautiful motion blur effects in both photo and video. And they take that smooth, fast-paced motion and really blend it together to communicate that a user is moving. And again, with the ND filters, you get 4 of them when it comes to the GoPro, HB lens series. The challenge has always been, how do I select the right filter for the right environment? Now with auto detect on HERO13 Black, like you're seeing here on screen, you get a 4, an 8, a 16, and a 32. And when you throw that on the camera, it will automatically recognize, throw it into the right mode. It's going to adjust all the settings and even tell you, like you see here with the ND16, maybe it's too bright and you need to go up, or maybe you need to go down. It will also adjust things in your protein settings to make sure that your light, to get that beautiful buttery motion blur, is just perfect. So whether it be your shutter speed, your exposure settings, it's taking all of that guesswork out, and even tuning it to a level with our GoPro labs would have been very difficult to do. The other thing that really happens sometimes when you throw ND filters on, it limits the amount of light coming in the camera. And so hyper smooth is something that they've even tuned to work perfect in that, scenario. So whether you're a pro or you're like me, just want to really elevate your content with some cool new perspectives, like the ND filters are going to help, whether it's that super bright and sunny day or ultimately you're looking to create some of that motion blur. And I think one last thing, Ron, that I love, again, they're waterproof. They've got that hydrophobic coating. So, like I have some of my Polar Pro ones. They're not waterproof, and it just once in a while, the number one tip I always have is like, you got to keep that lens clean. It doesn't matter what you're doing, doesn't matter how beautiful the shot is.
It's your camera.
You get a water drop on that lens and it's ruined. So that is like one of the coolest features that I think people don't talk enough about is, it just the water just sheds right off of there.
Yeah. And I mean, Cohen, from my perspective, I think one of the really big game changers that where auto detect really shines, as you mentioned earlier, is ND metering, right? Today, because of auto detection, HERO13 Black will recognize whichever ND filter that is installed. And with that, it's able to suggest whether you should go up in filter strength or down in filter strength. I don't know about you, Cohen, but I know back in the days whenever I'm using ND filter because I want to get a motion blur shot or a long exposure shot, I always struggle just to mess around whether is it my ISO, is it my shutter speed, just to choose the ND filter option. And I think today, with the camera being able to look at its environment and tell me which lens I can use, that saves so much time and it removes a lot of guesswork. So I think it also gives me that added confidence that I'm out there shooting, like, boom, I know I am going to nail the shot. Yeah. And one of the things to call out, one of the new Pro Tune settings that it's unlocked as well, it's this Pro Tune setting called motion blur. So similar to Star Trio in the past, if I wanted to capture a really exaggerated long exposure shot, I can set motion blur to high to get that exaggerated long exposure or blurred shot.
Which I love that it literally is just a swipe up on the screen and then all the settings in the back. Because like to do this traditionally, you and I would have had to go in. We would have probably had to try it 3 or
Yeah.
4 times, adjust the shutter speed, adjust our white balance, adjust, the EV comp and a few other settings to really make sure this would turn out the way we want. And then ultimately, you'd probably have to test it 3 or 4 times, where I just love that you can just throw this thing on and the GoPro does all the hard work for you, which is so much fun.
Phenomenal. I think it's phenomenal that what GoPro is doing today, it's trying to take like a professional type feature and to make it into an everyday type feature just by a click of a button. So that is for me, it's wonderful.
Yeah, and Ron, I think this is a great way to tee up like what GoPro and what we're continuing to do here to kind of take that professional look and feel to the next
Uh-huh.
level and bring it with those features and benefits of our GoPro DNA. And I know, Ron, you and I are both really excited about this
Oh,
lens, the
huge
anamorphic
fan.
lens mod. So
Huge
like
fan.
what is all this one about? And like, God, I can't wait to get our hands on this thing.
I mean, Cohen, when I first saw this, my mind was blown away, just in terms of its form factor and how we are delivering an anamorphic lens in such a small size. In a nutshell, the anamorphic lens mod lets you capture that cinema-ready video with little distortion at a new dramatic 21:9 aspect ratio. And what Hero 13 Black and Anamorphic Lens mod together are doing, it's that it's automatically de-squeezing your footage in camera, right? Allowing you or the audience to review your shot in real time using touchscreen display. So you don't actually have to use any post-production software to achieve that ultra-wide cinematic result. What that really means to our user is that, hey, you get to be in the moment, you get to enjoy it, and then you don't actually have to do any complex post-production work to it. And also, being that anamorphic lens mod as you see on screen, you can expect that classic anamorphic lens flare that adds that additional texture to your shot. So for me, Cohen, I love to shoot stuff, cinematic type stuff, even for my vlogs in conditions like this. And I just cannot wait to use this anamorphic lens mod and test it out in its environment.
I know. If only we were as cool as our homie here, James
Oh
Kirkland,
yeah.
and had a beautiful Mercedes like James. But I think the thing I love about this, as Ron mentioned, is like the form factor, the DNA of a GoPro, like the perspectives, that you'll be able to put this camera with the mounts and accessories that we create. You should be able to get shots that have never been able to be created on a traditional anamorphic setup. As you guys know, on a traditional camera, the type of rigs, the type of accessories that you would need to build to get some of these shots, that with a simple suction cup on the side of your car,
It's gonna be
it,
huge.
it's huge.
It's
And
gonna
at a
be
price point that I
huge.
think is like just,
Yeah.
like it's insane how, what we'll be able to bring this to. But I don't think, Ron, any of this is possible without having, solid power. And, I think as we take a look into the hardware of the Hero 13 Black, we really wanted to ensure that we could make this thing last as long as possible. And so as we look here, this year we introduce a 10% higher capacity 1900 milliwatt battery, which really, what does this equate to? Like 1900, who cares about all that stuff? It just means that you're going to fill up your SD card before your battery dies. If you're running 1080, 30, you're going to get over 2.5 hours. And if you're shooting in some of our high, performance modes like 4K 30 or 5.3K 30, you're going to, shoot for an hour and a half, which again, if you're running a 32 gig SD card, you'll fill that SD card up before your battery will die. So I think not only is it a bigger battery, they've gone in and continued to re-engineer how the image pipeline works so that everything is running more efficiently. That is also going to mean that it won't get as hot. It's going to continue to perform in the conditions, whether it be no matter what the conditions are. And I think, speaking of those different weather conditions, I think this is like my unsung hero accessory one. I think that that everybody needs to put into their kit. It is called Contacto. It is
That's right.
the magnetic waterproof door and power cable kit that lets you, just like you can see here, keep your GoPro charged amidst all the action. So whether you want to take it out and shoot long exposures overnight, whether you're shooting star trails, this thing is rad because it's also compatible back to Hero 9. As you can kind of see Ron here throwing it on screen, it just simply, connects with a magnet, and then you can plug it into a, juice pack, power pack, or even just into a wall. I kind of always have one of these now just at my desk, but love this thing because now I can get those beautiful star trails even on a rainy day and never worry about my camera running out of juice.
It's my go-to side dog when I don't actually remove it. And I just find that it's so satisfying these days just to even snap on the charging cable and to charge up my camera. I think it's just such a beautiful solution that the team has done to power it.
Yeah, and I think Ron, the accessory team continued to, as they looked at what could they do to make our experience even better when it came to just ease of use and simplicity. And I think GoPro revolutionized the world when it came to its, finger mounting so that you could eat and the quick release buckles so you could easily move from mount to mount to mount to really create all of these perspectives so that it just didn't get stuck being handheld or on your chest. You could move it all around and get all these different perspectives. And I think this story continues with, introducing the quarter 20. And this year, we're now introducing, as you guys can see, a 3-in-1 magnet mounting system. So now easier than ever, like you can see here on the screen, you can just use the magnet mounting mount, just clip on the sides, and you can easily go from mount to mount. So whether you're looking, to become the next, baking vlogger extraordinaire, or you just want to easily switch, like, man, this is something that I'm going to have 2 or 3 of these in my hands. And I know in my kit at all times, and I know people like, man, like how strong are these things? Well, I personally can say, and Ron, you were with me, they are tuk-tuk approved. We were in Thailand, if you remember, right? We were in Thailand a
Yes, I
couple weeks
remember
ago.
that.
We were on a tuk-tuk tour, and one of our buddies had this out on a selfie stick
Yeah.
and it comes whipping by a moto boy on a little scooter and smack right into his head. He hit the selfie stick. Everybody was okay. GoPro stayed
Yeah.
intact, and if anything, we got a really funny shot. But
It's a
yeah, I
funny
can
shot.
say yeah, it's pretty easy to swap between mount to mount, and man, they're built for GoPro tough, so they're gonna stay
Yeah.
in latch down when you need them to.
And yo, Cohen, just one call out. I really love this because I always use the media mod. And in the past, for some of you GoPro users out there, you know how tough and cumbersome it is. Just to swap a battery on your media mod, you would have to unscrew the thumb screw, take everything out. Today, all I gotta do is just pop the camera off, and there you go. Your battery swap is just right there. And then if I'm ready, I can just pop it back onto another mount. Maybe I want to go for an extension pole. And guess what? With the ball joint mount, you can actually swap out the extension pole mounts or the three-way with the magnetic mount. That way, this becomes magnetic ledge compatible as well. What's also cool, Cohen, I think that something that we really want to mention is that it works both sides. So whether it's front side or whether it's back side, the magnetic mounts or latches actually latches on both ways. I truly believe whatever the team here at GoPro is doing has done such an amazing and remarkable engineering job because, hey, look, Cohen, it's the same mounting fingers that we get at the bottom, the same quarter 20 tripod that we introduced. Yet this year, we are introducing magnetic ledges on top of that. I think it's just truly remarkable that we have kept the form factor somewhat similar. It's same, but it's elevated. I really think that that's some amazing engineering right there.
Yeah,
So
because
that,
as you
can.
guys, and you and I both know, Ron, is like I hate when things change form
Oh,
factor. I
yeah.
mean, it's
Change
like
your
it's change
everything.
everything. And like while we introduce a new battery, it's nice to know that a lot of my accessories over 65 plus, I think it is, are going to be compatible with this. So whether it be my medium mod, my light mod, my
Yeah.
Volta, Chesty and all these other classic mounts, like it's great to know that I don't have to switch it up and I get just an added way to make it more easy, convenient, and ultimately even better ways to get the shot.
Yeah.
Well, last but not least, Ron, I think it's a great time to talk about one of my favorite features and benefits of the new camera
Oh,
because,
yes.
as we
Oh,
know,
yes.
slow-mo makes everything look better. And as Ron kind of started out, before the Hero 13 Black, a GoPro maxed out at 240 frames a second. And with the Hero 13 Black, we are taking that almost double to now 400 frames per second at 720p. So whether you're getting beautiful slashes like this, or if you've got a awesome influencer that custom creates a 360 rig that spins an entire camera in a single second, you can create insane shots. We were just last week doing this really cool event with Best Buy in Texas, And one of our influencers built us a custom, what we're calling the 360 mini rig with the magnet mount. We were able to have a camera spin around us in full 360 in 1 second. And you can create some really fun things just mucking around like our team did. This was like after the event, we were kind of tearing down, having a little bit of fun. And here's a cool video to kind of show you what burst slow-mo is all about.
Cool, and I love this. When we saw it, I was like, I knew I had to include this video in to show this off. Check
Yeah,
this
it's pretty
out.
good, huh?
Yeah.
Alors on danse, 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 alors on danse.
Turkey.
That looks so much fun, Cohen. That looks so
Oh.
much fun.
It was, and just again, huge shout out to David. He custom designed, built that, and like you guys, the behind the scenes to get that to America was, wow.
Yeah.
I just hope that everyone at the Best Buy event loved it as much as we had, designing and getting to play with it as well. But the thing that you can see here is whether you want to create shots like we did or just have some fun in your backyard, it's just going to be insane going from 120 frames, 240 frames, 360 frames, all the way up, like you see here, to
400
720 at 400 frames a second.
Yeah, I find a great balance, Cohen. Whenever like these days when I'm messing around with burst slow-mo, I think the 900p 360 frames really gets you nice and tight. Someone actually asked me like, yo, why do we only limit it to 15 seconds? And here's my thought, right? If you can shoot up to 13 times slow motion, what is 15 times 13, Cohen?
Way too
So
long.
it's a lot of numbers. It's almost 3 minute long. So if you think about it, if you are actually shooting the full 15 seconds at 400 frame rates, you're talking about a 3 minute video, and that's a long video. So
Better be an
I think
epic fail if it's 3 minutes long of slow-mo. I better see someone's face splattering on something.
absolutely. Yeah, I love it. I think it's just such a super fun feature that if anyone picks up a Hero 13 Black, I highly recommend you to try burst slow motion out. Yeah. Speaking of about Hero 13 Black and new features, I just want to shout out to the chat. If you have any questions at all, hey, don't forget to pump it into the comments box. I think Cohen, myself, Derek, we would love to engage with some of your questions that are coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's so many more things we could talk about, about the Hero 13 Black. Like, man, we added GPS back, we got HLG, HDR. So if there's something that you've been curious about, like what's going on with the new GPS and what did we do, new Wi-Fi 6 chip or whatever, just throw it in the chat. We're going to bring back Derek on, and we'd love to hear from you guys. We want to make the rest of this time really interactive because I think we could sit here and talk all about the Hero 13 Black.
We can nerd out
so
whole
much,
day.
but yeah, we could do it the whole day, but we'd love to hear kind of what kind of feature sets are you interested in? What kind of questions do you have? And really spend the time with you, Ron and Derek, to really help you guys get the most out of this time. And thank you. So let's jump into some Q&A. What's up, Derek?
Can we just watch the videos on loop for the rest of the time?
Well, speaking about videos, Derek, if you want to check out the videos, that's a great segue to actually call out the GoPro tips page.
Hey, look at that
Awesome. There you
plug.
go.
Look at that plug.
There you go. He had it already. We didn't even practice that.
Yeah, wow. That was like it was scripted, but it wasn't.
Yeah,
That is awesome. Yeah, we're gonna have to get a link drop to that in the chat for this. So I'll get my guys on that if my producers can grab that link and drop that in there. I even had one of my producers, texting me sidebar during the presentation, like, "Oh my God, that video's sick." So it's like
yeah.
when we're sidebar texting about an event while it's on, something serious. I want to know with this battery runtime, how many kilometers is Ron running before the battery runs out? That's
a good question.
We're gonna have to put that to the test, and I'm accepting the challenge. We're gonna have a B&H GoPro runoff Sometime we're gonna make it happen somewhere.
Sometime,
We got to make it happen.
sometime. I think
Got
New
to
York
make it
Marathon's
happen.
always like it's like one of the holy grails of run, right? Like I have some friends coming up this year, and I'm like, oh, right, that'll be fun. Okay, but just fun fact, Derek, I finished that 15K run. I did it in about hour and a half. I had about 40% of battery left. Right. So of course I wasn't shooting
Wow.
the entire way, but I was shooting significantly enough. I made a small edit on my Instagram. So about 40% of battery left. But still had a fun time with it.
That's awesome. I'm
Yeah.
gonna kind of segue that because I think one of the coolest things, Cohen, you answered one of my questions that I had, and it's like whenever gear gets updated, the big question is always, okay, what do I have to buy new? What
Mm,
accessories no longer work? It's a huge pain point for a lot of brands and for a lot of consumers out there because it's like, all right, well, I just spent all this money on a product, and this, $100 accessory is no good anymore.
Yep.
All the accessories that you have that you're naming, that everything same fit, everything still works. So that to me, like, that's a huge call out right there, and that's something that, aside from how great the Hero 13 Black is, the fact that it still works with all the accessories, that's huge. That's a feature that a lot of people underestimate.
For sure. And I think that's like the one thing that I love about GoPro so much is like we're the best version of our own customer. And we spend a lot of our time making sure because we're such a diverse customer. I mean, really, it's anybody and anybody that wants to get off their couch and do something rad. But I love our consumer insights team because they do an impeccable job of really understanding what you all really want. Like, do we really need 8K? Like, we could do that, but like most of us could never touch that footage. Maybe there's a small portion of us that could. So, should we put our time and effort into those things? Or you guys want more creativity? You want more perspectives? Like, people say they like new form factors because they want something new and different, but you just said it, Derek. A lot of times they don't because while it might look cool, new, and sexy so they can show off to their friends, the pain point of like having to spend all this money or what do you do with all that old gear? No one wants to, jump on Facebook Marketplace and have to sell, these little bits and bobs. And I think outside of the battery and the dual battery charger, it's like super cool to know that like all of that old stuff, like, my chesty from my Hero 2 still works, which I just love that I can invest in other things in this ecosystem, not just replace the old things that I had
yeah.
before.
And just a call out as well, Derek, when we say everything, I also just want to be cautious with that word because when we introduce the HB series of lenses, because of auto detection, there is actually a hardware upgrade around the lens that allows auto detection. So the newer lenses, unfortunately, will not be backwards compatible. So if you're going to pick up a Hero 13 Black, my recommendation is, hey, watch some of our YouTube video to figure out what lens kind of guy are you. If you are the type of guy that wants to get different type of shot, different type of versatility, then I would say, hey, maybe pick out, say, a macro lens mod, or if you're an action sports type of guy, pick up the ultra wide lens mod. A good fun fact is that Max Lens mod as well as Max Lens mod 2.0 will be forward compatible as well. So Max Lens mod 2.0 will work on Hero 13 Black. It just will not have auto detect. So you just have to manually trigger max ultra wide mode in the camera dashboard. It's just
Look at
call
that. You
out.
guys keeping me honest. You guys know your stuff, and I love that. Like Cohen, you said, you guys are your ultimate, like, you're the consumer as well. You're not just out here, pitching product or working on a product or selling a product. You are the consumer, and I think that's so awesome. And in talking about accessories, man, nobody ever minds. I'll buy new batteries. I'll buy new chargers if it means I'm getting more battery life. I think that's the one accessory where everyone kind of is like, give me more
It's
power. I'll buy what I need to
battery.
buy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Battery comes to the camera all the time. Yeah. Number one selling accessory, the dual battery charger.
Yeah,
What's
and I
what's you guys's go to? Like, if I, because we got people who are going to be like, this is it. I know I'm sitting over here and I'm like, okay, this is the time I upgrade the GoPro, because you have, it's a solid product and has been a solid product. So a lot of people are
Yeah.
going to say, okay, one comes out, I'm good. One comes out, I'm good. I still got my 9. Okay, I'm good. This seems to me, especially with the lens mods. I mean, that's crazy. That's the point where people are going to start looking at it and say, okay, no more excuses. I'm upgrading. For somebody who's
Yeah.
just starting out or entering this ecosystem, what is your favorite? If you had to say like a nice starter kit for somebody, what would you go with as far as like accessories, maybe a lens mod?
The best question that I would ask that user is, what type of perspective would they like to capture it, right? It's a course that Cohen and myself we run. But I think the most important question to ask yourself is, hey, what type of perspective do you want to capture? Are you the selfie type user, handheld type user, or do you want to use like a hands-free type of mount? Maybe I'll share my favorite perspective and I'll throw you back to Cohen. And Cohen, you can share what your favorite perspective is. I know I'm a super lifestyle type of user. So for me, I love the selfie perspective. Time to time, I would love the bite mount. But for me, as you can see in some of this random video here, the extension pole these days has been my kind of go-to accessory, just to get some diverse shots, whether it's a front-facing selfie, follow cam, or just outward-facing shot. So this is my favorite one. What about you, Cohen?
I mean, I'd have to kind of piggyback on that. I've fallen in love because one, too, it's got the remote, which I think is great because it's a Bluetooth. So like I can use this too separately. I can just throw this on my handlebars with another mount. And so I like the versatility that I also get something that I can take away from this accessory and use it. But I think this just has got even better because on the bottom of this is a $1/4-20. So I love shooting like those star trails and like the long exposure night photography. And now I can put any tripod in there, and now I can get like a 3-foot long tripod, and I don't have to pack a giant tripod along with it. I've got my selfie stick. I've just got a mini tripod. It just keeps. For me, I think the biggest thing is I've got a 2-year-old daughter, and now all of my camera gear is getting replaced with baby gear everywhere we go. So being able to have something that can literally just fit in a case this size is really important for me. Because like if I don't have something like this is about all the space I get to bring now. So yeah,
and
then
diapers.
yeah,
Extra
because it's full
diapers.
of everything else but my stuff. And then with the ball joint, I think it's sick that with the magnet mounts, all you have to do is swap that out, and now I have just an easier way to get the benefit of the ball joint, but an even easier way to mount it. So I'd say this one for me is a go-to. Otherwise, for me, I'm a big fan of the bite mount. I mentioned it before. POV is like my jam, whether it be skiing, whether it be mountain biking, and I necessarily didn't like having it always on the top of my head like I'm a Teletubby. And everybody's seen that shot on the chesty, or like in the middle of winter, it kind of sucks having to have like something on top of your coat or underneath your coat. And I love that the bite mount, I can just take it out of my pocket. I can throw it in my mouth. I can take, 5, 6 turns, get the run done, and toss it back in my pocket where I can keep the camera warm. And I get that really immersive shot. And originally we made this for surfing. That's why it's got the quick release, so you could put it in the board and take it out. But this ends up being kind of one of my go-to anytime I'm using POV hands-free, unless I need voiceover, because obviously it doesn't do great when you're voicing over with like a, retainer in your mouth.
I mean, Derek, if I can choose another mount to take along with me, one that I always have in my bag, just for that versatility, it's like this what we call a Jaws flex clamp. I think it's, for me, it's either a gear mounted accessory where you can mount it on a gear, or in this use case here, I'm just had it mounted onto a railing, and that gets me a stationary type shot. And for me, when you're shooting vlogs types video, you want to mix up your perspective, right? So it's not just handheld all the way. So for me, I love the Jaws because I can mount it almost anywhere. And at the same time, I love to shoot time lapses, whether it's at night or in the day. So it gets me shots like this as well, even in my car, outside my car, or even getting some really cool light painting at night. So Jaws clamp, super versatile accessory, highly recommended.
What I really want to know is, how is Ron keeping up? He's got a slide for everything. These questions aren't even rehearsed. I'm just throwing stuff out that I'm genuinely interested in. Ron's got a slide prepared. I'm like, man, back end producers aren't even that quick. And Ron's over there. He's in a full conversation. He's got, man, machine. We had a question come in on LUTs asking if there's a GP log to Rec 709 LUT available, or any LUTs in general.
So, with the GoPro right now, last year we actually introduced the log profile on the camera. So with the log profile, GoPro's introducing a LUTs, the lookup tables that you can actually download on the website. So yes, you will be able to download GoPro LUTs for free. We will throw that into the chat. So if you are looking to mess around with the lookup table, you're trying to create a stylistic look to your video, you will be able to do it on your camera. I mean, I think it's especially important if you're shooting across multiple camera systems, right? So if you want to have a consistent look across your GoPro camera to your DSLR to your phone, you want to match that style, you will be able to do that. And GoPro is offering, I believe, 2 different LUTs that you can download on our website.
Yeah, I was actually interested in asking about that because I think that's something that in the past, it can get a little sticky when you go across systems. But in the same way that like drones have become such a great tool for establishing shots for cinematographers, in seeing all that you guys are doing, I mean, that drifting shot, I think I could watch that drift, the drift shot with the anamorphic lens over and over and over.
Oh yeah.
It's awesome. And it's like I can totally see so many different, not just establishing shots, but there's a number of different, single frame shots that you can kind of work in with this. Do you guys use it in combination with any other systems, or do you guys have any creators that that do use it with a mix of DSLR or mirrorless or anything for video?
Yeah, I mean, and I think one thing that we're really proud to say is like GoPro has now won 2 different Emmys, one for hyper smooth image stabilization, and the other one just for our image quality and advancement and just like the perspective we can create. And that was all the way back with like Hero 4. And you know, I think the best example is look at, what the new Twisters movie that just came out, like, or the
Yeah.
Fallout guy. Like, you're gonna see shots in those movies that are shot on some of the most expensive cameras and setups in the entire world, but they're also using GoPros for some of those shots where like they don't want to put that red camera and it is gonna get blown up or it is gonna get, beat up and, maybe all that's left is the SD card, but like at the end of the day, these things are really built to put in those bulletproof moments and times. And I think that's what's I think's really cool is GoPro's used just like any other cinematic camera because of the quality, but then because of the way it can be mounted and the places it can put. Plus, I think it's at a price point that you're willing to like, sacrifice for $500, with this anamorphic lens, $530, you're willing to sacrifice like to get that shot. Like, what is that if you get the one shot in the movie that you just could have never gotten? Like, you'll sacrifice $500 to get that shot. I mean,
Yeah.
they use that in a single push of a button for an explosion. That's what the button press costs. So I think for me, what is really cool is you're going to get that cinematic look and feel at image quality that you'd expect and in a way with the durability of a GoPro that I don't think you could ever really get with a typical camera. So I'm just excited to see, like, man, imagine this thing on a drone when we put this on an FPV drone. Like when you imagine like when the creativity just starts to run of like where you'll be able to put this, I think it's going to be insane what people are able to come up with it. And yeah, I mean, Hollywood's already doing it, so it's more just what do you guys want to come up with?
Yeah, and I think that price point, I mean, price is always sticky, and especially with certain products. Like there's products where it's like you're doing a launch in your head, you're just like, nobody ask about the price. I don't want to talk about it. And as you guys you guys are putting prices up because again, I'm a consumer too. And I can think a product is great, but at the end of the day, is the juice worth the squeeze? Is this product worth what it's priced at? And for a lot of people, it's like there's so many different products, and this might be something where it might be, hey, this is an accessory camera for me. It's not going to be my main rig, so I need accessory camera price. And every price you guys put up, and I'm saying this not as a B&H host, I'm saying this as a consumer, and I'm like, these are prices that hell yeah for especially for like the lens mods, because I think for me the camera speaks for itself. It's once you get into the accessories and the lens mods, it's like, okay, that anamorphic lens mod is super cool.
And
Waiting
maybe
to
that's
see
the
the
only reason you
price.
buy it, right? Like
Yeah,
that might be the only
exactly.
reason you get it. But it's unlocking all these other great use cases that, like, for me, originally I just bought it so I could get POV me skiing and mountain biking, and now it's like the greatest family camera, and I tend to use it more for just capturing like my daughter and the day-to-day stuff when we're going to the park or the beach. And I didn't, it's nice to know that I had all of that there the whole time, even if that's maybe not why I initially purchased it, but it can do all of these really versatile things, which, I can't really do with, my SLR. It's kind of very specific use most of the time.
Yeah, that's the game changing part about it. I think you kind of led early with that going and talking about how this was always something that you saw strapped to a BMX bike, to an alpine skier, to a surfer. And I love the transition to an everyday, this is a dad camera. I'm looking at this and I'm like, man, put one of these on my son because my son runs now. And not as fast as Ron, but he's getting there. And it's like just the little day-to-day things. And now that leads me to think, I mean, obviously a background in still photography. What is it like? Have you guys or do you pull stills out of here? I mean, especially when you have the ability to take these high frame rates. I mean, 400 sick.
Okay,
That's
so
just
now
ridiculous.
if you're shooting in 5.3K in the full frame, Derek, you will be able to put 24.7 megapixel still from your camera, from the
Wow.
GoPro.
Wow.
What's really cool as well, like if you are a still photography type person, I think you would really enjoy the macro lens mod because you now have depth of view in your shot, right? So you're not talking about depth of view bokeh effect on your GoPro still shot. So it's no longer just an infinite focus. You can actually compose your image, something in the foreground and something in the background. And I think it just adds this level of touch and detail to the shot. We don't have the video right here, but Max Romy, we have it on our tips page. He's like an amazing, super talented painter. I just want to pause it at this image right here. He made this series here where he's painting just amazing images all across where he lives, and you can just see all those amazing details in the shot. And I think it's something that I think photographers will also love.
Yeah,
Definitely.
and I even think like the anamorphic or like the motion blur with the ND filters, being able to
Oh yeah,
pull, like not have to time it right and try to use a burst or trigger at a specific moment with a flash or something to be able to just let your video
pull
run
it from a
and then
video.
pull a screen grab just like that. Like that's just a screen grab. And for a lot of things we're doing, it's just nice to know that like I don't have to choose and I can still get the video clip, but if I need to pull a still out, that it's going to be at a quality that whether I'm using it PowerPoint decks, whether I'm using it YouTube for any of our needs, that it's going to be at a quality that will really work for what we're using it for. I mean, to be honest, for like my day-to-day selfies now, like if we're taking family pictures, why would I try to like get everybody like looking at the camera, smiling and take 14 pictures? Now I can just let it run in 5.3K and maybe it's not a
Take a
27
screen grab.
megapixel, but at 25 megapixels, it's worth just having to let it run and not worry about, did I get the shot? Is my dad's eyes closed like always? Is my daughter looking at the camera the same time I am? And
Yeah.
I think the GoPro app, just the quick app, just makes that so easy because you can just pull it up and literally frame by frame, and you can just hit export, and it just, right into, to the editing. Because again,
Oh,
it
no
can
way. I
do
didn't
all the
even realize
editing.
that.
And you've got full editing suite. So you want to change, your white balance, or you want to adjust your, filters and things like, you don't have to open up any third-party app to even get it edited too, which is nice. And it just does it all inside the app.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. We did get a comment
Derek.
from Christian join us on YouTube says it is a dad camera. It is the best family camera. What do
I
you
would
What's up,
think?
agree. I
Christian?
agree, Christian.
We had a
What's up?
question come
What's
in
up?
on handling noise. So whenever we
Nice.
get the action cameras, I mean, in general, anytime you mess, even when I use
Mm.
my mirrorless, it's like you're messing with dials. And any tips for reducing noise? Or Jim was asking particularly, what is a good handheld mount to avoid the noise from just messing around with the camera?
Well, Derek, I think first and foremost, one thing that I want to call out, I see that you're already
He's got a
smiling.
slide for it.
He's got a slide for it. Of course you have a slide for it,
With
Ron.
Hero 13 Black, there is this new audio tuning feature that we've enabled on camera. So by default, you have it to standard, which captures everything from your environmental noises to your voice. But say that today, if you want to have something more voice enabled, you want to pick up vocals, you can set it to be voiced. And so with that, it's actually more tuned to pick up vocals from human rather than your background noises. And also, with I get what you mean, especially when you're trying to move your thumb screws and you pick up all those noises. Well, today with the magnetic thumb screw, I think we'll avoid some of those scenarios. And one of the things that on my tip that I can give is that if you are switching between mounts and if you're trying to speak over something, I would say do one action at a time, right? Don't do it simultaneously as you're switching mount, you're trying to speak over it, unless it's unavoidable, So if you are trying to do a selfie or trying to change it to a forward-facing selfie, do the action first and then speak. I also found it useful because I wear a ring. Sometimes this right? This noise might get in your photo. So it also helps if you don't have any finger accessories. So if I'm using my right hand to shoot instead, that also reduces unnecessary noise being captured on your camera. But yeah, I would say try the audio tuning method and then finger accessories. Avoid them. Yeah.
Just throw it up in the air. That's what we
Yeah.
call it.
Throw
That's
it
old
out there.
school Bluetooth,
Leave it
analog
there.
Bluetooth.
Yeah. Set it up. Yeah.
This is awesome, man. Like I said before, I mean, if you guys haven't entered the GoPro ecosystem, this seems like the right time to jump in. And I've never been a big phone camera, but they're easy and a lot of people use them because it's like obviously we're attached to our phones at the hip now, but guys are wearing sling packs now, so something this small, like you said, Cone, there's a lot of us out there. We got, we're packing for our kids. We're always carrying, if we're not carrying a diaper bag, it's a baseball bag or a backpack. And it's easy
Yeah,
enough
they
to
only get
throw
more
in
stuff, right? Do they get less stuff, Derek? I mean, it feels like every day Molly gets more and more things I have to bring
and
with
more
her.
expensive.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward. That means less camera gear I get to buy too, right?
We're gonna be having another price conversation where it's like everything else, the price of life goes up. But at least the GoPro accessories are still priced right.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, I mean it's just such an awesome system, and I want to thank you guys. It's always fun when you guys come on. I don't think there's very rare occasions where I'm sitting here with my camera and my mic off, and I'm like, damn, I want to jump in. These guys are having so much fun. I'm sitting here, I'm watching, I'm like, I want to be part of this. Um, but no, I want to thank you guys. This is just such an awesome release as usual. Like I said to start the program, I know when I see a GoPro launch, you guys aren't limping into it. You guys are throwing everything at it. I think what you guys do as far as listening to the user and making changes, and it's not these just run of the mill basic changes. It's stuff like Cohen alluded to earlier. Do we really need this? Or is this going to make the experience even better? And I think that's what we see here. There's a million different things you can add, but everything you add changes something. And you guys keep a nice, simple sauce, recipe, and you tweak it where you can make it better. And I think that's really what it boils down to is just a product that has for a long time been just a game changer. I think it's always good when every other product is referred to as a GoPro, even if it's not a GoPro. It's just become like anything portable. Everyone's like, it's GoPro, but
Synonymous.
it's like, but no, that's not a GoPro. GoPro's a brand, and I
Yeah.
think that you guys have really put your stamp on the industry. It's awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, it really just comes down to all of our, incredible users out there. I mean, like we like to tout that we have the world's largest media team because really it's anyone that owns a GoPro that submits their content. I mean, and this is like one just selfish plug. If you guys have a GoPro and you guys aren't participating in GoPro awards, like shame on you because it's an always on, it's a 24/7 contest that we are literally giving cash away for photos and videos to anyone that submit your footage. And like, I just want to say, like, if you think it needs to be that crazy action sports stuff, know that we want the dad cam. We want that day-to-day lifestyle stuff. So if you are a GoPro user, you can submit stuff right from the app. And I think that's just really telling why we see, such great footage and we see all this incredible content. And it really comes back to like why we exist. We just want to enable you to get off the couch, get out there and do those incredible things. Because one of our family members really coined this term is like, you know, Derek, Ron gets to wake up and go out and eat that street food and see the Marina Bay Sands on a daily basis. Or Max Romy can go out in his backyard and paint these beautiful pictures. And what somebody's ordinary is, what they get to do on a day-to-day basis, what might be white noise, is someone else's extraordinary. And I think that's something that the GoPro really helps highlight is what might be boring, mundane to somebody, like me shoveling snow in my driveway. Ron has never seen snow in his life. And just that experience of a POV of me shoveling snow, someone in the world might think that's the coolest thing ever. And I think that's what's so cool about the GoPro, just being part of the whole GoPro lifestyle brand, is that it's really just enabling people to create professional level quality footage, even if this is the first time picking up a camera, even if it's the first time that like they're trying to do something. And I think that's like one thing I'm just so proud and honored to get to call work is because, man, it's like humans are incredible and what they do on a daily basis is insane. And if we can just be a little bit a part of that, I think it's really cool to hopefully inspire others to get up off their butts and do more too.
I'm afraid to speak after that. That was like the perfect way to close this whole thing out. You guys are, I mean, it's an awesome brand. You guys, I mean, look, the two of you are ultimately great ambassadors for what the brand says. And I think that's just as important as what's inside, the gear is the people that you have working for you. And really, you guys speak to just a brand vision that is just awesome. It's not only, at the top of the game and the top of the industry as far as what you guys do technology wise, but I love that whole stance where it's like you just want to be a part of the everyday life and telling these stories and you put it perfectly, Cohen. So I'm not even going to try to throw mud on that beautiful monologue there, but
Oh, thanks.
go out and capture and it doesn't have to be jumping off the side of a cliff to make it impactful. So
Yeah. I mean, you look at some of the best moments that we've ever captured, and they're like a girl picking up a chicken at the farm, like that is just as awesome because, the GoPro allows you to really flip the camera back on yourself. And I think capturing those candid facial expressions and those moments where you're purely in the moment is really what makes, the GoPro experience so special, is that nothing's scripted a lot of times. This was like truly in the moment, and we got to capture that pure emotion of whether it be happy, sad, afraid, whatever that emotion is. And I think that's something that, it doesn't matter how many times you shoot a shot. If it's scripted, it's going to look scripted. And if it's in the moment, and I think that's something that it's really special. So yeah, Derek, we want to thank you for having us on. When this popped up to have this opportunity, that Ron and I, Ron's willing to stay up until the middle of the night to do this. So we just
Always
want to
down to
thank
hang
you
out.
for having us on. I hope everyone out there, you guys have learned a little bit more about the Hero 13 Black. And if you have more questions, don't be afraid to hit us up on DMs or jump over to GoPro Tips, because I think it's a great way for you to get the full rundown. And yeah, I want to thank you guys. Thank you, Derek. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you so
awesome.
much, Derek. Thank you,
Yes.
B&H.
Thank you guys, man. Always great having you on. We did share the link to the GoPro tips and to the GoPro awards in the YouTube chat there. So make sure to check that out. I think that is one of the coolest things about it, is a brand that's really, really, really in touch with its user base. And you don't always find that. So that's something that's super cool. If you are out there, like Cohen said, participate. They don't want to see people just buy the gear. It's really an ecosystem, it's a family. And I think that's one of the greatest things that the GoPro brand offers. So on that note, I want to thank Cohen, Ron, all of Ron's slides that just seem to be right on time. That's like the co-star of today. Ron and his slides, a man and his slides. There we go. That's all we got for you for today.
There we go.
Huge thank you to the guys and to the entire GoPro brand for today's wonderful event. Another edition of the B&H Event Space now in the books. Catch y'all next time.